Cricket, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
How did you get into theater?
Well, about a year and a half ago, my first show was...
A year and a half ago?
Yeah, a year and a half
ago.
ago.
Come on.
Yeah,
This has been longer than that.
Well, I've danced longer than that. So I used to teach over a backstage dance studio, and a fellow teacher of mine said, you should probably go to this audition for Guys and Dolls. And when she says go to an audition, you go to the audition. Whatever she suggests, you normally do.
Oh, really?
So I went ahead and I did it. And ever since then, I've been kind of hooked.
So wait a minute. So you're really a dancer. Then you consider yourself a dancer.
Yes.
How did you get into dance?
When I was 4, I told my mom I wanted to be a ballerina.
Yep.
So I started ballet and been doing that my whole life. Was involved with companies, went to college for it, danced after college, and then ended up having to move back here. So had to find some outlet to get it out of me again.
So where did you go to university?
University of Nevada, Las Vegas.
Why there?
It was far away.
You wanted to get far away.
Yeah, it was far away from here. It had what considered top 10 dance schools in the U.S. I originally went for architecture as well, so I was double majoring when I went in, and they had a really good architecture program. Obviously ended up dropping that because they were both way too hard to do together and on opposite sides of the campus, which is very important.
Interesting.
So it was a little too much, so I ended up dropping it,
Right.
but finding, the right path for myself, I guess you could say.
So you're really from here, this area?
No, that's complicated.
Okay. You moved around?
Yeah, I'm really a proud Yankee from Indianapolis, Indiana.
Okay.
I grew up also in Pensacola, Florida, and then I moved here.
Okay.
So, and then obviously I left and went to Vegas and stayed there for a while and then came back.
So what's about the Vegas scene? I mean, that was interesting, whatever. I mean...
There's always something to do.
Yeah.
That's about the only real interesting thing about it. And people are always amazed that other people live there. I am. So I always get, you went to school in Vegas? How did you pass your classes? I'm like, because I went to class. So I actually did really good in college.
Right.
I had my 4.0 semesters.
Ooh.
I know. I was pretty good. So I know. So it was pretty easy. I mean, not easy, but you still have to go to school and you still have to go to work and you still have to pay your rent. And if you don't do those things, then you end up being, one of those people who lived in Vegas. So,
So if you majored in dance, is there any form of dance that you didn't study?
Well, there's a million styles.
Yes.
But I didn't technically study. Our main, I guess, your core classes in college are ballet, jazz, and modern.
Right.
So you don't go into the contemporary aspect, and that didn't really get crazy until after I graduated college. So there's that. I never took tap until I came here and decided to do theater, and every show I've been in has tap, so I had to learn it.
What's with that?
I'm like, really? The one thing I haven't studied, and that's what's in every show. So I had to quickly learn that. I'm not a tapper by any means, but I guess I fake it. So that's,
you must pick it up pretty quickly, so yeah.
Yeah, but I've always been, I don't know, tap is just different than everything I've studied. You know what I'm saying? So you have to make noise, which other styles you don't normally make noise.
Right.
So it's interesting, but it's fun. I hated it when I was little, so I never took it for some reason. I don't even know why, but I just wanted to be a ballerina, so that was my focus until about junior high school, and then I started taking other things. So
is there anything that you could take from the interpretation of dance to, say, acting?
Pretty much everything.
Really?
As a dancer, you are an actor, because if this is dead, then this is going to be dead, because only dancers, I've realized, are the people who look at your feet and look at your technique. Nobody else has a clue what that's about. They just think it's pretty what you're doing. Right. But if you don't have a story that you're telling with your expressions and throughout your body, then it's dead to everyone.
Wow. Yeah.
So in a way, most dancers, I would think if they really thought about it, they would consider themselves slightly actors. Because, you have to act through everything, or you're not telling the story that your choreographer wants you to tell.
We had the same thing. We had it was a singer who just got into acting, and we were at the point where they just weren't getting it. And I said, "How do you interpret a song?" And once they said, they told me that, I said, "Now do that with your acting, night and day."
Yeah.
I mean, that was just that. Next time, it's like, "What's different?" And I said, "I told them to interpret it like a song."
Yeah, when people started telling me how to sing
Yes.
or whatever, I'd be like, can you interpret that dance wise
Yes.
so I know what you're talking about? Either
Right.
put it in a sports analogy or a dance analogy, or I'm not going to understand
Oh.
it. So that's, how I kind of picked that up too.
So how do you get into singing?
Just here.
Really?
Yeah, I've always wanted to sing, but I've been embarrassed to sing in front of people. So I always did the fake singing and the dumb voices and whatever in front of other people. And I only rocked out in my truck. So I've always thought of myself, like I've always wanted to be a singer,
Right.
but I never had the means to do so.
Right.
So finally now I'm forced to sing pretty and I'm forced to sing how I'm supposed to sing.
Right.
So it's a whole other thing that I get to learn and explore. So that's fun.
You get into comedy?
Do I get into comedy?
Yeah, I mean, do you actually do it? Like, say, you said when you're saying these voices, it sound like you probably mimic people.
That is one of my specialties. Yeah, my best friend used to call me the Russian spy because I can do like a Russian accent really good.
Yeah.
Don't put me on the spot. But I do a lot of voices, and people have asked me to do stand-up comedy, and I'm like, I don't know. I'm better in conversation at
Right.
being funny than I am like, I'm standing in front of everyone being
Right.
funny. Yeah. So I haven't gotten into that. Plus, that would be very nerve-wracking.
Wow.
If people don't laugh at your joke, I'd be like, I'm out, y'all. I can't take it.
It's tough. I mean, I think it's easy, but yeah, you can fall flat, and it can just depend on the audience.
Exactly. That's like with our shows. It
Yeah, no,
depends
some
on your
days like,
audience.
wow, they're loving the next day. It's like, okay, pin dropping. What's the heck is going on? Does that
Like,
happen
did
to
they
Destiny?
get that joke? Because
Yeah.
that one was solid.
Why are they laughing?
Exactly. Or why are they laughing? Yeah.
Yeah, why are they laughing? Did something, a zipper or something?
Yeah. Did somebody lose their mustache?
Yeah.
Hitler?
Well, I mean, there was one show, I guess, did Jeff rip his pants?
Jeff ripped
Yes.
his pants, and then Clinton lost his Hitler mustache.
Yeah, but he
And
covered
had
that just
yeah,
fine.
he
The
covered that
the
fine.
losing, the pants ripping is a little harder to cover.
Yeah, that's like the horror of. That's live theater, though. That's what makes it exciting. Yeah.
Did you have any of that when you were in dance?
We've had a lot of tripping and falling.
Yeah.
Or in college, we had our black box theater, and they always changed up. It was literally a black box, and then they'd put the seating however they wanted to
Right.
around it. Well, they ended up falling in love with like the alley dance. So
Yes.
there's people, and then two small wings on either
Right.
side. Well, when you're turning, you could easily get disoriented, and
Right.
all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, well, I had never gotten disoriented until
Right.
my senior year.
Right.
And I'm out there doing the solo part. And then I had to like scoot back. And I'm like, why am I scooting back? I could run into anything in this thing. But I'm scooting back
Right.
and I'm like, I'm wrong. I am so wrong. And the second I stopped was right at the knees of our first row audience member. And they were apparently like, no. And my choreographer was like, oh God, she's lost. She has no idea where she is. And then I ran off on the opposite side. They thought I was in, yeah. So that's happened. I've always had oddly sewn costumes.
Oddly sewn.
You know, like you're doing, for instance, our kind of thesis was we made up a big dance, you know, a ton of
Right.
choreography. So you would have people be in your dances and you'd work with them. Well, then you get stuck with people who don't necessarily how to make costumes and they try to.
Right.
So we had a few costumes that were made kind of funky.
Yeah.
And so I had to step up and be the proud, you know, dancer who had, you know, half their backside sticking out. And so I've had that a lot, like
Yeah.
the awkward costume.
Yeah.
But other than that, not really any. Because dancers prepare for rips. Like,
Prepare for ribs.
you wear, like if I'm wearing black jazz pants, I
Right.
normally have black tights on underneath
Okay,
it. So
right.
if it rips,
So what?
who cares?
Right.
It's not a big deal.
Right.
Which I've kind of had to teach people in theater. You don't want to take that chance. And it's the second that they don't believe me is the second that it happens, and they're like, "You're right, Cricket," and then I get to feel like a hero. So,
Noises Off, right? The play. Mm-hmm. There's a scene where there's someone supposed to rip the skirt off one of the girls. She wasn't wearing anything underneath. She forgot that particular scene. So when they ripped it off, she really ran off very quickly.
Justin Timberlake.
She ran off really quickly.
Yeah.
It's like,
see, and that's the other thing in dance. If that happens, you're not supposed to run off. Well, you're not supposed to do it in theater either. No. But if you ran off in the middle of a dance, that could be really bad news.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I try to be 100% prepared for that. I try. I mean, it's not always going to work out.
No.
The main problem with dancers is you get, your tights run, and and you're always injured or sick or something.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, a lot of things is like a sport. Your body is everything, and if something happens, but as dancers, I guess all the different poses and stuff like that. I mean, it must be really hard on your body because I know there are people who just love dance, but they can't dance anymore. Their bodies will not allow them to dance anymore.
Well, you take like Brishnikov, for instance, the best dancer ever in the history of ballet. And he quit ballet, and he's a modern dancer now because it's better on your body. So, in a way, you just kind of change it up. I mean, I took off dance for about a year or 2 years, and it just was not I wasn't functioning as a human being. So, you have to find your way back into it. And yeah, you lose the muscle memory, and then it's really hard to get back. But it's amazing the difference between a dancer and a non-dancer, because I don't know how normal people don't stretch every day. It boggles my mind. And when I use dance terms, it boggles my mind that people don't know what plie means. And I'm like, it's just...
But that's part of your vocabulary.
Yeah, it's part of my right. And it takes me a while to realize, oh yeah, they have no idea what the heck you're talking about.
Same thing with acting. So, well, especially in community theater, you can start using terms.
Yeah. And
then you wait a minute, they don't understand. That you have to go back. I mean, some people do. Exactly. If they've been professionals before, they get it, or if they've been around. But then, no, they kind of talk through it,
Exactly. Yeah.
So, let's talk about choreography.
Okay.
That, is being a choreographer, how's that different than just being the dancer for you?
You have to kind of be a visionary. One, I think the best part of being a choreographer is you get to put yourself out there a little bit. And kind of in the musical theater aspect, it's not as much.
No.
But a great thing that if you're a great choreographer, you bring out the skills that your dancers can, you utilize your dancers to the best of their ability. And you also push them a little bit too. So if you're doing something that's telling your story, it's more about the choreographer and using the dancers how you want to use them. But in musical theater, I think it's a great thing to kind of push it a little bit and see what your dancers can bring out of the choreography. So kind of give them a challenge so that they can step it up, but also trying to make them look as good as possible. So I think that's one thing that should be super important for a choreographer, to throw that at their dancers and see where they take it. But it's just... every time I hear a song, there's dancers in my head dancing.
Wow.
Now, if I could film that would be amazing, because I would be like a billionaire choreographer. And then the things that I come up with sometimes is like physically impossible. They're like, I'm sorry, what the heck did you just say? Forget. I don't know what the hell you're talking. Like, that cannot be done. And I'm like, just try it. And then they try it, and it's horrendous. But like the things that I just always have stuff going on. And so it's a lot when I'm driving down the freeway as well. So I used to have a notebook next to me, and I'd like scribble down kind of what it is. And of course, they're not actual dance steps. It's like this crazy lunatic crap that I come up with. And then I try to talk people into doing.
So that's your creative. Do you write or keep a journal and stuff like that? Or?
I used to do poetry, but I've gotten out of it.
Why?
I don't know. I don't know.
It did something at a time, and now it just, whatever.
I just ran out of time.
It's not your creative outlet anymore. Well,
it should still be. Yeah. But, I mean, I still have like a 3-inch thick thing of poems that are finished and poems that
Right.
are halfway finished and ideas and etc. But I really haven't touched it. I think college kind of ruined because I was so busy there wasn't time for
Right.
it. So, after 4 years of not doing it,
Right.
so you kind of fall out of things. But I always have them in my head, but I never actually put them to paper. So
once you got out UNLV, what did you do?
once I got out,
Yeah.
I auditioned for a bunch of stuff.
I mean, locally? I mean, in Vegas.
Yeah, in Vegas.
Right.
So a few of the jobs I got. What the thing about Vegas is if it's not raunchy enough or, etc., then
Right.
or big enough and outrageous enough, then
Right.
it usually falls by the wayside. So a few of the jobs I got ended up not really happening because it never really got off the ground. Because they weren't, they didn't have enough, flesh showing or any of that nature. So I've always been a huge sports fan. I'm slightly obsessed with sports.
Slightly?
So,
Any
yeah.
particular sport?
I love football, soccer,
Really?
and baseball. I'm a super diehard Cubs fan, so I'm very proud of my Cubbies.
Yep.
Colts fan. I love college football, though. It's some of my favorite. But, and then, of course, I like the Dynamo. That's the only Houston team I like. But I love the Dynamo. So there's that. But in Vegas, there's not any real professional sports. I mean, we have a minor league baseball team, which is super fun, but most baseball teams don't have dancers. So we had an arena football team for a while. So their auditions came up and I auditioned for them. So I was on that dance team for a little while. So, and I did choreography with them as well. And that's always fun because you get to mix two of the things you love, sports and dancing, and you get to do it at the same time. So it was awesome. Some dancers have no idea what's going on the field, though, so you have to explain it. In arena football,
so why is it important that they understand what's going on the field?
Because you don't want to be. I don't like people knowing that women. I don't like the stereotypical woman who has no idea what's going on. Right. Yeah. So, and some of them want to learn, they just never got the chance to. Right. So they'd ask questions, be like, "Oh, what's going on now?" And so I'd have to explain it to them. And of course, I always thought that I should have been my dad's son because I was that into sports, and I'm actually kind of a decent athlete. So, but I mean, dance is my sport.
So that's where you got into sports. Your dad.
Yes, my dad is like the guru of all sports. Yeah. Oh, and I'm a big hockey fan as well. Which is what I was going to say. Like arena football is. Right. I thought I hated arena football, and I was like, why am I trying out for a dance team for arena football? Isn't that ridiculous? Right. And then I realized our first introduction to the team, they did a scrimmage with another team, and one guy got slammed into the wall, and his helmet went one way and his mouthpiece went the other way, and I was like, this is awesome. So, because it's like a mix between hockey and football in a way, and I'm just like, okay, I can get into this now. So I ended up really liking it, but it is better live. Oh, yes. Don't get me wrong. It's better because on TV doesn't do it justice at all. But anyways, so yeah. But my dad definitely is the person who got me into sports.
What's the best game you've ever seen?
Oh, gosh.
It's in your memory and you kind of replay it over and over again kind of thing. Is there a game like that or no?
There's a few Notre Dame games.
Yeah.
There's a few Cubbies games. Our recent, can I think, Super Bowl plays in, even though I watched it on my cell phone because we had rehearsal that night. But, I pay like the $5-6 to have the NFL thing on mine so I can watch it.
Wow.
But,
you are a fan.
Yes.
Whoa.
Yes. So it's more plays or, big moments, that kind of thing. Big games. Yeah. But the Cubbies made me cry last year with our success. We almost did it. We're going to get there. We are going to get there. And I always have faith in them. Even if we're the crappiest team in the league, they're still the best team in the league. I don't care.
So what is it about sports that excites you? I mean, the fact that you could do that too, because you said you're an athlete yourself. Is that just that competitive
I've never
aspect
been that
of it?
great.
What is it?
I used to play softball, and I wasn't that great at softball. But I've always been better at the guy sports. Like, I always played on a guy soccer team, and I always played football in my front yard, and I was always pretty good. But I don't know. I think it's just you put your kind of heart and soul out in there, and you fight to the finish. It's just awesome. I love it. And, like, having... Like, you work, it takes every single person out there to make it happen. Like, quarterbacks always get the credit or always get blamed. And it's like, well, they still have linemen in front of them, you know.
And if they don't block.
Exactly. And the receiver still has to catch the stinking ball. And, you know, and so it's not always one player. It's everybody doing their part to make it brilliant and make it happen. And I was never... This is weird, but I wasn't into baseball until I was always into like high school baseball when I was in high school and then college baseball, but I was never really into the major leagues until I got into college. And my best friend, who was also my roommate, was a diehard Braves fan. Right. So I would watch the games with her, and then I started to like it. Well, then people started talking about plays in baseball. Right. And then I'm like, I don't understand what that means. Well, this is as I'm falling in love with the Cubs as well, because the Cubs ended up beating out the Braves to continue on in the playoffs. And now, after really getting into it, it's almost, baseball is almost like the poetry sport. It's like you put the player here and you do this to get him. I mean, it's just... I love that there's so much involved in it, and there's so much like random stuff that you can do that a normal person would never think about if you don't watch the sport all the time. But there's ways to make things happen, because most of the time you think of plays. Obviously, football has plays. Hello. Right. And soccer I mean, every other sport does, but you think baseball having plays, but they do. And there's ways to, you know, make a win happen or help your team out more. And it's just fun to like, it's kind of like putting your chess pieces in place. Right. So I kind of like the mind game of it too. The mind game.
Oh my goodness. So were you a tomboy?
Yes.
You were?
My friends didn't even know. Ballet was the only thing I did that was girly.
Right.
So I would go from soccer practice on a guy's soccer team. Right. And I would run into the studio and I would change in the bathroom into my ballet outfit. And then I'd go in ballet. And none of my soccer friends knew, or none of my friends knew except for one friend that I was in ballet. Right. And the thing is that's funny is I look back at my ballet pictures and I don't remember any of those girls in my classes. What? Because I was dead. Like soccer, I remember my friends because you work together, but ballet, I was like doing everything I was supposed to. Right. I was totally focused on making sure my technique was on point, and I didn't care about anybody else in the class. It was like I had friends in the class, but it wasn't super memorable because I was super focused in class. It wasn't a team sport like. Yeah, exactly. It was a team sport when it comes to you're dancing at the end, you know, when you do your recitals. Or some of that. Exactly. But when it comes to like in dance class, I was 100% focused. Wow. It wasn't about chit-chatting with my friends. It was about going to that ballet bar and doing my pliés and tendus and everything and making sure that they were right. So, and I was probably one of the only kids in class that even when I was little, that when it came to recital, I knew my choreography. So I wasn't the one looking at the dance teacher in the wings like, oh my gosh, what do I do next? Oh, I was rocking that. Looking straight forward, doing my little smile and rocking out the choreography. So yeah, it's weird that I look back and I'm like, who are these people? I mean, as I got older, I got to know more people, obviously, in my dance class. And some of those people are my best friends now. But when I was little, it was all business. Wow. It was all business. So what do you do in real life? Do you still do dance or something else? I haven't. I've been scared to take dance classes. So I used to go down to the Met and take dance classes. And so I've been out of it so long because I got busy with work and stuff. So I'm kind of scared to go back down there because I'm pretty sure it would kill me. So I haven't done that lately. And I actually used to teach dance classes and private lessons. But I never recruited any new students, so they all graduated and went on with life.
Right.
So that ship has kind of sailed. But I am a hair and makeup artist, so I do that. So that's my little outlet of creativity.
Would you like to get back into dance?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, teaching dance and stuff like that.
I always think about how it would so benefit the theater if we had
absolutely.
like theater dance classes.
Any movement classes, absolutely. Which is why we're trying to build this storage rehearsal facility.
Exactly.
We need a place to do that where we know we have a dedicated space.
Exactly.
And not just in the evening or in the day. We know we've got a space and we can schedule it out. Because we need something like that.
That would be amazing.
It would be amazing. So, dollars. Next thing.
Exactly.
We'll work on that.
Step 2.
Step 2. That's right. Step 1, get the plan through the city. Step 2, get the money. Step 3.
Have you gotten the plan through the city, by the way?
That's what they're working on now.
Okay, awesome.
And the way, you know how this works around here, you need to know somebody. So we've made sure that the architects are used to doing stuff here. Not just anywhere. Just knowing the code isn't good enough. You got to know people. That's true everywhere, though, right? But especially true here.
Yeah.
It's the way it is. That's life. Get over it.
Yeah, you either embrace it or, you're a rebel. I'm usually a rebel in that case.
Well, I'm a rebel too, but, so there are some things.
Yeah, but sometimes you got to get it done. Exactly.
Some things you just got to pick your battles. Where are you going to be the rebel and where are you going to, okay, fine. That's the way this be done.
I'll give into this.
So how did you get into hair and makeup?
Let's see, this was a while ago. Well, I've always done it.
Right.
Because if you're decent at hair and makeup and you're a dancer, then you're usually helping everybody else with their hair and makeup every show, which is exactly what I was doing. So, and I've always worked at like spas and salons for some reason. Like throughout college, I worked at a big old spa and salon in Vegas. So I've always been around it, and I'm a learner from, watching. Right. Obviously, I'm a dancer, so that would make sense. So always watching people do things, so I kind of learned from that. And a job just popped up where, hey, we need makeup and hair artistry, we'll train you, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay. So I kind of went to the interview process, and then they had kind of a trial where you would, show them what you can do on people. Right. And if you had potential and you were kind of headed in the right direction, then you were hired on and trained and et cetera. So that's kind of how it happened, and I got into a company with it. And basically what we do, the companies that I usually work with, it's all on location. Right. So the fun part of it is I know probably 90% of the wedding venues or photography venues or whatever in Houston and surrounding areas, because that's where I go every day. Right. And then hotels. I know the best hotel because, women get ready because we do a lot of weddings, photo shoots, like bridal extravaganza stuff, that kind of thing. So wherever they get ready, that's where we go. So I know every hotel in Houston and all these wedding venues, and it's, insanity.
So if you had to pick a hotel to stay at, which would you pick for the nicest one?
Icon.
Icon?
I love Icon.
Really?
You got to think customer service.
Yeah.
And I love the Magnolia too, even though they've always had issues with their elevators. But I just like the people who work there. They're personable. They help you out. I know a lot of people are Zaza fans, but not really a fan of Zaza. But that's my own personal whatever. But I love Icon. I don't know why, except for it's just fabulous. The rooms are fabulous. The service is fabulous. They'll take you wherever you want to go. Like if you want to go somewhere in Houston for dinner, they'll take you there and pick you up and bring you back. Wow. So, it's awesome. I've stayed there a few times, so that's how I know that part. But,
Is there some place you'd want to go that you haven't been?
Like in the world? Or
Anywhere in the world,
A million places I want to go I haven't been. What is my number one? I need to go to like Fiji or somewhere where the water, in Australia. I'm a huge beach person. I want clear water. I grew up in Pensacola. Clear water, white sand.
Really? So they have perfection. There are a lot of nice places in the Caribbean that are that, like Jamaica.
Yes.
Doctors Cave Beach.
I want to go
white sand. I'm talking white sand. You can see as far down as the sun will let you see. Go on a glass bottom boat. Awesome. I'm sure the Caymans are great too, and that kind of stuff. But there are places. We're not talking Galveston. I hate to go to Galveston, but Galveston water.
We pulled up to Galveston when I was 13, and I was like, I'm not getting out of the car. Nice try, but that's not a beach.
That's not a beach. No.
That water is disgusting.
Right.
And 2, what's with the brown sand?
Yep, that's right.
That's disgusting. So I was really kind of disappointed. When I moved here, but I was spoiled. I mean, come on. But yeah, I'd love to go like to Trinidad and Tobago. That'd be amazing. And I had a few clients at, I used to work at a massage place, and I had a bunch of clients that lived there like for so many months and then came back here and lived for work and stuff. So I heard great things about, there's a million places I want to go. You know, Australia would be awesome. I need to go back to Ireland about 500,000 times.
Go back? You've already been.
Yes.
So what's so good about Ireland?
Everything. One, I'm Irish, so
that helps
kind
too.
of helps.
Yeah.
But it's just ridiculously gorgeous, and like the pictures of how green it is and everything, not even in the ballpark, not even close to like doing it justice.
Right.
The beer is better.
The beer is better
over there. I learned that Guinness doesn't travel well, and that's why it tastes slightly awkward.
Interesting.
But there, it's like heaven in a glass. So the people there are just so nice and like genuine, and they know more about us than we know.
Yes,
about
they do.
Us.
Absolutely, they do. They know
like,
about our politics. They know about us, everything.
How do you feel about your president right now? I'm like, why do you care?
And
they're like, well, this is how I feel.
And they list a whole bunch of things. You know, I heard this, that. You're like, oh my goodness, really?
You're like, I don't even know about that.
Right.
And then they have better opinions than we do about our own stuff. Yeah.
Yes, they do.
So, but even like the smallest little bar is the best place to go in and have conversations. And it's just everywhere you go is awesome. And there's so much history and going, and you just drive along and all of a sudden there's like remnants of a castle or a church or whatever. And that doesn't happen here. No. So it's just, but driving there sucks, I will say. It's scary. Opposite side of the road. Yeah.
Oh, you're rented a car. Oh, yeah. That's true.
We rented a car, not a...
Well, you know, when I drive in England, the key thing I have to remember is before you get in the car, you say, right turns are hard, then the left, and you just mentally set yourself... I was fine on the road, except for the roundabouts, the really big roundabouts.
There was like 18
crazy.
in a row. I was like, I'm going to hurt myself after this. And parking lots are so confusing.
Oh, yeah.
I've never been honked at so much in my life because the second, like I was doing great. Right. And then all of a sudden I pull into a parking lot and everything goes out the window.
Oh, it's all completely different.
It's a free-for-all.
It is.
And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to die. And it doesn't help that my brother is sitting right next to me, like yelling at me to be correct and get on the right side. And you're doing
which
this
is the
wrong.
Left side.
Exactly. And I'm just like, and then I got my left and rights mixed up because,
oh my goodness, yeah.
You know, you always, I don't know how it happened, but it got mixed up.
Right.
So it was interesting. But I just love everything about it.
Would you want to move there?
Oh, yeah, in seconds. If I was rich enough to, like, ship my friends over there every once in a while. Because I was really planning on winning that $1 billion, you know.
Oh, who wasn't, right?
Big plans.
Did you get a ticket?
Yes.
So you had a ticket? My son had a ticket.
And that's the first time. I don't gamble.
Right,
right. And that's gambling to me. So.
Oh, yeah. Well, and, you know, hey,
so,
we're selling a dream. Fine.
But I got some, wasn't even close. Yeah. Not even almost. I had like 2 numbers that out of, I think, and I also get like really weird. I'm weird with numbers. Like I have my favorite numbers because I'm obsessed with math.
Right.
So I have my numbers and then I start getting like really superstitious about, well, should I choose this number or should I go? So I went with, I need to get 2 sets of 7 because 7 is the holiest number and maybe I'll have God on my side. I don't know. I just came up with all these things and I'm like, I mean, obviously completely stupid ideas. But anyways, I was really planning on that.
Well, who wasn't?
I had big plans, y'all. Big plans. And y'all wouldn't have to worry about raising money because I could have thrown some your way.
If you had a windfall like that, what would you do with it?
I was going to instantly buy a house in Ireland.
Really? You know where?
Probably on the Dingle Peninsula. because I love it there. It's amazing. And have some sheep. I love me some Irish sheep.
You like sheep?
Sheep are freaking adorable.
Sheep.
Sheep are super cute.
Yeah.
And then, and Irish animals are really nice. I mean, I had a few.
They're nicer than other.
Oh, yeah. We went, you take the little boat to go to different islands or whatever. Yeah. And there's just like, the mountain goats chilling. Yeah. And they let you walk right up to them. They don't care.
They don't care.
I had to get out of the car because my brother was driving me absolutely insane. And there's a cow chilling there just chatting it up with me. And the sheep. I just love the sheep.
Isn't that something?
Sheep are adorable.
People think animals are the same, but they're not. I remember going to Alaska, and they are the stupidest, dumbest animals ever.
Well, they're freezing.
First,
when you be pissed off,
there's not many roads in Alaska, right?
Yeah.
But what roads there are, they'll be like, I'll call it a squirrel. It's not a squirrel. I can't even remember what it is. They come up to the side of the road, and when the car passes by, that's when they decide to cross.
Oh, that's squirrels in my neighborhood.
It's like, what the heck is this?
They like assisted suicide.
Yeah, a mountain goat blocked my way for at least several minutes while his family passed. And there's nothing I could do. You could honk, whatever. I got out of the car, and he wasn't moving. He wasn't budging. Family's going to go, and they're going to take their time.
Not a goat. You don't challenge a goat. I'd stay in the car. You're liable to get rammed real quick. And then my dog has always wanted a horse. So we would have.
Your dog wants a horse. Yes, how do you know?
Because I know what my dog.
You're the dog whisperer.
Exactly. Well, he's my baby, so obviously I know what he says. Yeah. But we really want a horse, so we would have gotten a horse. But I would have had random places, and I don't know, not really gone crazy with it, but done fun stuff.
Have you only been to Ireland once, or multiple times?
Just once.
Just the once. When was that?
Oh gosh, like 2007.
Okay. Because Ireland went, I'm pretty sure it was Ireland.
No, it was like 2009.
2009?
I'm thinking,
There was a time, Ireland wasn't doing too well economically. And then they started, we're going to bring in animation. You remember the whole Land Before Time kind of thing and Littlefoot and stuff like that. And then it was doing fabulous in terms of computer animation and stuff like that. And then it just kind of went away. And it's like, what the heck is going on? I think now it's a big computer center now. They're really trying to make it a big deal that way. But, it's just like, what do these people do? I mean, it'd be nice to move here, but what do they do?
They own bars and little shops.
And
they live the life in the most beautiful land ever. And,
Do they view life differently than we do?
I think they do.
Yeah.
I think it's way more relaxed.
Yeah.
It's not everything's not such a big deal.
Right.
So, I don't know, and we stayed at we did the bed and breakfast thing, and they're really helpful with even each other. Like if they're full, they'll call their friends, and it's not about competition there. It's about, I don't know, they're just good people. They're just, and they're way more relaxed, and everything's not a big deal.
Right.
The main thing I love about them is how they use the English language, though. They use words differently than we do.
For instance?
The first thing that she said, the one lady at the one bed and breakfast said to us is, she's like, are you weary? Well, she didn't say y'all, obviously.
Right.
But she kept using weary, and me and my brother were like, what? We don't use weary. But she was using weary, and we're just like... Right. They use words that we never use.
Right.
And they use them, they're their normal everyday, And,
yeah, in the UK, the first time I go there, how are you doing, love? Can I do this? Love. And then I find myself doing it. But of course, the part of the conversation, of course, we're both speaking English. We can't understand each other.
Yeah.
Right? So, excuse me, love. And then they'd say something, and I'd say, excuse me, love. We just go, the whole conversation was a bunch of, excuse me, love. What the heck are you saying? I can't.
But that's the thing with Canadians, too, though. They say stupid stuff.
Yes.
But now I'm saying weary a lot.
Oh, really?
And then I also say bucko because I used to work with Canadians a lot. And he always said bucko. And I catch myself, and I'm like, now you're speaking Canadian, and that's just stupid. Exactly. I don't think I've ever said A, but unless I'm making fun of what's his name in the picnic basket, A boo boo, I got a picnic. Yeah. Unless I'm doing that. But other than that, no. But I apparently say bucko now, which is super annoying, but that's okay.
So how do you decompress? If you're not doing theater and you're not working and stuff, what do you do?
I love movies. I love hanging out with my dogs and my nephew. And I like going to shows and stuff like that.
When you say shows,
events.
you talking about like other theater shows, or are you talking about movies? Or what?
Ballet, well, obviously movies, but ballet,
Right.
like going to see Houston Ballet a lot.
Really?
Any shows that come into town, seen some Tuts shows, stuff like that. So,
You ever do the theater open house we used to have? I want to say it's about August, 1 to 5 o'clock on a Sunday. And that whole downtown area, Tuts and the Opera, they open up the alley. They show their backstage areas. They'll have tours. They'll have food and stuff like that. And it's a lot of fun. And I remember Opera was having a garage sale, essentially, during that time. And they were selling some of their costumes. And you're like,
nice.
Bear! What am I going to do with this bear costume? I don't know.
Who cares? You got a bear costume.
I want it.
And that's where it came from. So
and that's where it came from, yeah.
Exactly. Oh, that'd be fun. I would definitely do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm usually sporting events. I used to go to Chicago once a year.
Really?
But I kind of fell out of that.
Why?
I got to see my Cubs.
Yeah.
But Chicago is like my dream city to live in.
Really?
I was originally supposed to move there
Right.
instead of moving home.
Right.
But I had everything set up, and then stuff happened, and I ended up having to move home. So still a city I want to live in. I just love everything about it.
So what would you do? I mean, if you move there, why? What's going on there? They just say, this is better. I mean, yeah, you got friends here, but you'd make
I
friends
like
there,
the weather
of course.
better.
You like the weather better?
Yeah. I mean, I've never tried to go through a winter there, obviously.
Okay. Yeah.
But I always say I look phenomenal in a scarf. So I would be able to work with that really easily.
Right.
But I hate hot weather. Like, I really don't like hot weather.
Yeah.
And I've lived mostly in the South and in the desert. And I'm like, did you think about that?
Hot as hell. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So, obviously I haven't, but I like the cooler, windier weather. Sure. I like the fact that it kind of has a fake beach. It has, Lake Michigan is enormous. Yeah. So it almost makes you feel like you're next to the ocean, but you're really not. So I get that aspect of it, but I also get the cooler weather. And I just love, it's a vibrant city.
Oh, yeah. And the arts, I'm sure, are fantastic.
And the arts
there.
And then you just have,
kinds.
It's beautiful. I mean, it's probably one of the cleanest cities, I feel like.
Really?
Yeah, I just feel like everything's like really nice. I mean, I don't go to Southside a lot, to be perfectly honest. Why would I go, to the White Sox territory? Right. But anyways, so I don't normally head down there, which apparently is kind of the rougher neighborhoods. But I love it. I really, and it's not like, it's a huge city, obviously, one of the biggest in the U.S., but it doesn't feel like huge, because all the little neighborhoods, and Wrigley is like one of my Disney worlds, so I just love going there. Wow. It's the best. If you have to catch game at Wrigley, I mean, it's a must. It is a must. And it really is the friendly confines. I mean, even when we play the Cardinals, it's still, there's respect between the two teams. Right. You still go out for drinks afterwards, regardless of who wins. Wow. I mean, so it's just a fun place, and there's it's just little neighborhood bars everywhere, and it's just, there's so much good, fun stuff about it.
Wow. I think Carolyn's been fun. I've never been to Chicago, but but there's just, like I said, in terms of the art scene, and there's more than that. That's what I'm thinking. But there's more I know Chicago than just the arts, right?
Yeah, and they have wonderful. They have a lot of dance companies that are amazing, and just, I mean, and they have all this dance and theater and everything, and then they also have every sport. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So it's like you get the best of both worlds. In my opinion, you get the best of both worlds. So that's definitely one of the cities. I have, my favorites, obviously. But I've never been to New York City, so...
You have been, oh man, you got to make it to New York. That's a fun time, too.
I've heard. But yeah.
That's what you make of it, of course, but yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I love San Francisco.
Oh my goodness, that's a wonderful place.
I love
it. You would because it's cool. It's cool all the time.
It's cool all the time.
It's cool all the time.
And you always need a jacket handy.
Yes, you do. Yes. All the time. It's amazing. Even in the summer, it's cool.
It's awesome.
I love it. Yeah.
And then and it's gorgeous scenery. And it's another really clean city. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's because it's windy in Chicago that it's clean and trash doesn't have the ability to sit still, but I don't know. And then I love New Orleans, too.
Now, that has character. Now, I haven't been back to New Orleans since after Katrina, I think it is. But before Katrina, I mean, that's the city that never slept. I was there one summer, and truly, never slept. I think, Mondays, but the city didn't sleep. That's just our apartment complex actually quieted down on a Monday. But every other day was a party.
I love it there.
Yeah.
Just having, the jazz music coming from wherever it's coming from as you're walking around. And who doesn't love the food there?
Oh, yes.
I literally want to move to the French Quarter and just be happy and fat the rest of my life. That would be awesome. Just open your little French windows, you know, and eat your beignets every morning and just be happy.
Are you into jazz music?
Yeah.
Really? Because then the place you need to go is Hungary. They love American jazz. They give awards to Americans, jazz musicians, and they go there to receive these awards. They love you. They love Americans.
Oh, I did not even know that. It is so friendly. And the country has been conquered, over all the hundreds of years, conquered over and over again. But they are so friendly. They are so awesome.
friendly. It's just incredible. And jazz isn't. You're into jazz? You've got to be kidding.
Yeah.
They're into jazz. American jazz.
They're smart. They're smart. They're smart people.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but that's the thing about New Orleans, too, is it has so much stinking histery.
Yes,
they were conquered by, they had everybody moving in and out of there. Yeah. And then all of the I always go on haunted tours.
Oh, that's cool.
Those things are awesome. But it does depend on who brings you around. Of course. Because I've had a few duds, and they're not as exciting. And then I've had some that you just want to be every night go back to them and explore more. Yeah. But I just love the history there. And then wasn't Interview with the Vampire film there? I'm not sure. I think it was, but I'm not sure. Yeah. And it just, obviously, vampires are cool. Mm. So the fact, and there's all those stories about the random crap. And then Jack the Ripper might have moved to New Orleans and blah, blah, blah. Oh, my goodness. So there's all of that. And I really, it's really kind of cool. So what makes it is just the storyteller themselves? Is that what makes it? And the one I'm talking about most is a certain gentleman that does the tours. But he would take you around to his favorite places that are haunted. Yeah. And just the way he told the stories but also the respect he gave to that individual building or that structure or whatever. Yeah. Because people still live in those houses, even though all this horrendous stuff happened there. Yeah. And it's still happening there because a few of them, they're constantly, people are moving in and out of because they can't deal. They can't stand it. They can't deal with it. They can't deal with it. So, but some of the families get really angry as the tours are going around. And I'm thinking, you live in New Orleans on the French Quarter. What are you expecting? What do you expect? Yeah. But they show respect to those, we understand that this is your house and you need to have a little bit of privacy, but just getting into it and really knowing your city and being appreciative of it. And, they know the different, people would ask, what's the best bar to go to? Who has the best, po' boys, whatever. So, and they always have that kind of information. And the one guy was just, I could have hung out with him the whole time I was there. He was just full of awesome stories. You obviously knew he'd been doing it for a while, so he knew all the good stuff. But there's not enough time on those tours to go to everything that you can go to at all. No. And of course, it's just in the French Quarter, so there's the rest of the city. There's much more to explore. So, but I love it. I love it. New Orleans for me also changed around the 80s because I was there in 82. And I think before they hadn't fixed up the river the side, so like River Center Hotel and that kind of stuff. Then that came in, I'm going to say the 80s, and then that made a big difference, of course. But and then again, I haven't been back since Katrina. I don't even know if I want to go back. I don't know how well it has recovered. I'm sure French Quarter is fine. But, French Quarter is definitely recovered. Right. I think they just have. I think they're a little bit stronger and more prideful now, even more than they were before, just because they got through it together. Right. I've been back quite a few times since. Of course, I normally do. I am very partial to the French Quarter. Yes. So I stay there a lot more. So where do you stay when you're at the French Quarter? That's a good question. There's
different places, or just
there's a few different places. I'm not going to be able to remember the hotel name, but
that's all right.
There was one right down from Cafe Du Monde that we've stayed at. Obviously historical. You do have to pay attention because some of those hotels are on those haunted tours, and some of them have some random crap that happens in there. So you got to stay away. But one time we did stay at a where you like rent the house. Mm-hmm. So we stayed at one of those once. But just random places on the French Quarter. Mm-hmm. Just because if you are there, then you can walk everywhere you want to go.
Absolutely.
So
yes.
It makes it a lot easier. So.
I miss that a lot of places. New York, San Francisco. They're walking towns.
Exactly.
Houston is not, or anything around is not a walking town. If you want stuff thrown at you, hurled at you, yelled at you, this is the place to do it. All you got to do is take a walk. I've done it. Been there, done that. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
They
Southern
look like
hospitality doesn't really work when you have to drive everywhere. And there's traffic and everybody's pissed.
No.
So, yeah. Yeah, I was in San Francisco for about a week, and I stayed with somebody who lived there.
Right.
So, I don't think we got in a car once.
No,
except
you
for
didn't
to
need it.
go to and from the airport. So, actually, that was on their little... systems.
Right. Yeah, you take
and
car, whatever. Yeah.
Our stuff around here sucks for
right.
transit. But I loved walking everywhere. Mm-hmm. In Chicago, we walked everywhere.
Absolutely. You can do that in New York, or in some of the large cities. Yeah, absolutely.
But I totally am not used to that because Vegas, you can't walk anywhere either.
I do see people walking, but it's definitely not a walking town.
Oh, no. It's only on the Strip you walk, but everywhere else you have to drive.
Right.
And even on the Strip,
yeah,
unless you're wasted, you are smart enough to know I'm only going to walk from here to here because the rest of it is way too stinking far and you need a cab.
Right.
Yeah, it's it. The people who just I'm like, you must have a lot of alcohol in you to be putting up with that crap because I would never be walking that far.
Yeah.
Ever. I mean, walking through the hotels is enough sometimes.
Those are pretty decent distances because those hotels are huge.
Oh, yeah. And then they're far away from each other.
Yes, yep.
But every time you go back, there's something different happening.
Yes, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I remember asking them one time, and this was like 5 or 6 years ago, right after the 2008, 2009, economic collapse. Mm-hmm. Hey, how's business here? Business is fine. It's actually been up each year. And I go, what the heck is going on?
Yeah, they're really
and I guess
good
people want
liars.
entertainment.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that too. But then people like entertainment, Yeah. So, and we'll reserve money.
Well, it's never the Strip suffers in ways for like a little, because I was there for 9/11.
Yeah.
So the Strip ended up being a ghost town.
Wow.
For about a month or so, or a little bit longer. And then people slowly started trickling back in. And that was the best time to go to the Strip. Like, all the locals were all like, heck yeah, there's no annoying tourists to deal with right now. So it was awesome because we actually got to experience a little bit more of the city without, all these idiot tourists driving us absolutely insane. Right. So in a way, we were kind of spoiled in that way. But I know a lot of the industries, because I moved right before the big part of the collapse of everything, but I know a lot of people who lost tons of people lost jobs. Yeah. People lost their houses.
There was a lot of that. There was a lot of
had to move back in with their parents and back. Mm-hmm. I had a friend that was actually from Chicago, lost his job, lost his house, lost everything, and ended up having to move back to Chicago. I mean, the Strip has a tendency to maintain in a way. They go through rough patches, but they end up building it back up. But the rest of the city really suffered the most, obviously.
There was a time when pretty much Vegas was it for gambling, right? And of course, Atlantic City too. But then now we had all the Indian reservations pub. You can do online gambling and stuff. What do you think gambling and those type of revenues and stuff really did for Vegas at the time that you were there? Was it good? Was it bad? It's like, it's just a way of life. What was your?
Because I don't gamble, so I don't pay attention.
You don't think about that. Yeah, you don't care about that. Yeah.
I mean, you get off the plane and you hear the sound.
Right.
I mean, that's the most gambling's ever really done for me. But obviously, I mean, there's a million people in there all the time that are gambling. Mm-hmm. So, and how many people really win? So obviously, they're making a huge amount off of that. Yeah. But I think it's more the restaurants, the hotels making their money from people staying there.
Yeah.
So, and just I mean, you kind of get to explore other cities when you're in Vegas with all the hotels being themed.
True.
You know,
That's true.
So you get to see a little bit of everything there.
Yes, you do.
And a little bit more than you want to see. And then, you know, so it's the thing I loved about Vegas is things are always open and available to you.
Yes.
So when you get off of work at 11,
There's
you can
stuff
still
to do.
go grocery shopping.
Yep.
You can still go out to eat with your friends and have a few drinks before
right.
you have to worry about going home. I mean, your schedule is completely different than, you know, here. When I moved back here and people said last call at a bar, I was like, I got here an hour ago.
You already got last call.
And now are y'all serious?
Yeah.
Like, is this really happening? But yeah, I had to change my whole mindset because, you know, there, 9 o'clock, you're like, I'm going to take a 2-hour nap before I get up and get ready to go out.
Right.
And here, you better be ready to go out 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Or you don't have any time.
You're going to miss
anything.
it. You're going to miss
exactly.
stuff. Well, there, it seems like the nightlife is that. I mean, people could do stuff all. The morning is really quiet when I was there. You know, like 8 o'clock, there's hardly anybody up.
Because everybody finally went to bed.
Went to bed.
Exactly. But it gets you into trouble, though, because you still have to work and go to school or whatever. Mm-hmm. So they con you. No matter where you're at, it's always, you can never see the daylight or the night or whatever.
So
when
you don't
in
have
a
a sense of time.
So you don't have a sense of time. So you'd be out all night partying, whatever. Right. And then all of a sudden you look down at your watch and you're like, I have to be at work in 2 hours. You're like, what the heck? So you'd go home, take a nap, shower, and go to work. Or shower, take a nap, go to work. Right. So luckily I was very, very young, so I could pull that off. But thinking about doing that now is just not.
After a while, it wears off.
Yeah. I don't know how we did that, but we did it. I mean, I didn't get like crazy or anything, but it's just you get into conversations like we are now, and all of a sudden, oh crap, it's 6 a.m. because nothing ever closes. And I have to be at work at 8.
Yeah, let me grab some breakfast and go shower so I go to work.
And then you can, though. You can go grab breakfast because
you can.
Everything is still open. Yes. I mean, there are those places that obviously close, but you know, for the most part, you can do whatever you want whenever you want to do it. So,
if you had to pick one restaurant in Vegas, and you're telling a friend, you're going there, okay, you should go here. Where would you tell them to go?
I think it's called STK. So not the last time I went back, but the time before that, my best friend still lives there. Yeah. And she works, I think it's called the Mandarin Hotel. It's a new one, but it's off the strip. Mm-hmm. And she's a big deal. Okay. So anyways, she got invited to their opening night, basically, and it was like free food and drinks or whatever. It was, you know, red carpet, all that jazz. So we went, and they just kept bringing us food, and it was some of the most delicious crap I've ever eaten in my life. Right. And not that I know that much about that kind of thing, but it was delicious. Uh-huh. So I'd never had Brussels sprouts in my life, and I had them for the first time there.
Were they good?
They were delicious. And everybody hates them, but they were delicious. And I'm thinking, I'm going to cough this up. But I was like, can I have more of that?
Wow.
So, but it's kind of like a club atmosphere and a restaurant, kind of all mixed in one. It's super amazing. I think it's an Aria hotel.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But, I just really, and that's where I tell people to go when they go, because it's just, I don't know how it's priced because we didn't pay for anything. Thank you, Jesus. But, but it was still, and that's the thing about being a local is you either get hooked up or you're not going.
Interesting. Yeah.
Because if you live there, you don't want to pay for stuff. That stuff's expensive.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
So you don't wait in lines to get into clubs. Mm-hmm. You don't pay to go anywhere. You know, you either get the free tickets or you're just done. Or you know the chef and you get hooked or whatever. Right. But yeah, if you're a local in Vegas, you don't put up with that nonsense. Or it's just not worth your time. We'd always walk. There'd be like a mile-long line to get into the club, and we're like,
not doing that.
You go up to the bouncer, you say a few things. I'm not going to give you those terms or what you're supposed to say because that would be against the code. But you say what you need to say, and they instantly let you in because you don't wait in lines. That's for tourists. You go straight in that door and you have your fun and let them wait in line. Wow. That's what you do. So there's a method to the madness there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's how locals get through, because if you thought about it, you would never live there if you had to deal with all that crap.
Oh, no. Absolutely not.
No. You got to have the hookup. That's how you get it done. Yeah.
Well, it looks like everybody's starting to get in here. We're getting ready for rehearsal. Oh, well.
Yes, we have a show to do.
Yes, we do have a show to do. But anyway.
That's why we're here, I guess.
We'll definitely have to have you back, but I'm going to ask you what I've been asking everyone else. If heaven exists, what do you want God to say when you get to the pearly gates?
Probably, I forgive you. That'd be great. I don't do a lot of bad stuff, but I'm sure he has a list. So, I mean, I try to be an honest person, but sometimes you're too honest, and so you cross that line. So I hope he'd say, I forgive you, and yeah. I think we have a good relationship. I talk to him a lot, so I think, yeah. Uh-huh. So hopefully he says that, and then we're on good terms.
And maybe you'll find your way back to Ireland? Is that what this
is? Yes. I'm hoping, there's a lot of cities I want to live in, but that is one country that you gotta, it needs to be part of my every couple of years. Yes.
Yeah, okay, every couple of years wouldn't be a bad thing.
And it's not bad ticket pricing or anything.
Not really.
It's not like a crazy, outrageous trip. No. So it's doable. So we'll have to get back into the mix of that one.
That's definitely, I got to add that to my bucket list. I haven't been to Ireland. Definitely got to do that.
Yes.
Cricket, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
Let's go get ready.
Yes, let's go to a show.